facing Tennesseans today. From 10 News, this is Inside Tennessee.
Good Sunday morning, everyone. Welcome to Inside Tennessee. I'm Robin Wilhoit, in for John Becker. Over the last few months, the stories we've brought you about Knox County government have been stories of conflict between longtime office holders and those who successfully fought to limit their terms, conflict between those with different ideas about how to replace those officials, and conflict about how open that process must be. Well, lately, the most visible conflict has been between some members of the new county commission and our guest this morning, Knox County Mayor Mike Ragsdale. After a landslide re-election just 6 months ago, Ragsdale today heads up county government in turmoil, and he's here to talk about that with us. Good morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be with you.
It's great to have you with us as well. Looking forward to talking to you. Also here this morning for our conversation with Mayor Ragsdale are our panel members, News Sentinel editor Jack McElroy. Good morning. Good to see you, as well as Susan Williams of SRW & Associates.
Good morning,
Susan, and local attorney Dennis Francis.
Good morning.
Thanks so much for being here. And once again, Mayor Ragsdale, thank you for being here. 6 months into this, and you have had a lot of conflict. If you just sit back and you look at it, what goes through your mind?
Well, the first 4 years of our administration were really very smooth sailing, and I'm very grateful for that. Along the way, we accomplished some very, very good things. I'm optimistic now that we're going to get back on track, move forward in a very positive kind of way, continue to move our schools from good to great, create new and better jobs for our citizens, provide outstanding programs for our seniors and veterans, and make government better. So while there has been a lot of turmoil, a lot of conflict, some things that are very unusual in local governments to have occurred, I'm very confident that we're going to get back on track and move Knox County forward in a very progressive and positive kind of way.
Obviously, there has been conflict, though, with some of the county commissioners sitting. What is your relationship with them at this point? Chairman Scott Moore, do you communicate? Do you talk one-on-one?
Absolutely. This past week we were together on a couple of occasions. He's meeting with my Chief of Staff, Mike Arms, at least twice a week to talk about policy issues and decisions that are going to impact Knox County. So I'm optimistic, and Scott's been very positive with us, and so we had a good first term together, and I hope this second term turns out very productive as well.
So the relationship, you would say, is good?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
Mayor, I have a question. You were at the January 31st meeting, and as you know, Jack McElroy has filed a lawsuit against the Sunshine, saying there's possibly a violation of Sunshine. Do you think they violated the Sunshine Act?
Well, let me preface my answer with a couple of comments. First, I think it was a very difficult situation. I support term limits. I think the Supreme Court made the absolute right decision. Their timing could have certainly been better. It was right during the middle of a cycle rather than at one end or the other, so it had a very difficult impact on a lot of people. Secondly, I really wasn't at very much of that meeting that day. I was at the first 15 or 20 minutes and the last 15 minutes. The whole section in the middle I missed. But even with that said...
So did most of us watching it.
But even with that said, along the way I called for three things in the process. I felt like it had to be legal. I wanted it to be very open and transparent. And I felt like it had to have a significant involvement by the public. And I don't think that we met the criteria in all three of those cases. As a result, I think people were disappointed in what happened that day. Not necessarily disappointed with those who were selected, but in the process that occurred, I was as well. I've been very vocal about that. But I do believe there comes a point in time when you move on. And right now we've made a very strong effort to work with each and every one of the 19 commissioners. The new countywide office holders have been very cooperative for us to work with. And I think we're going to achieve some good things. So was the law broken? I'm not sure. I do think, I know last week I watched your show and there was some debate. Does 10 constitute a violation, or it's only 2? Right. Well, certainly if it's only 2, then I think there were probably some violations that did occur. If it's 10, I think that's a different...
Have you had that conversation with your law director, the county law director, John Owens, about, Scott Moore contended that it was a quorum.
Are you trying to give me a heart attack as a lawyer by asking any questions about his lawyer here?
I am.
Okay. I'm just going to sit back and
have you had that
over.
conversation, and do you think, or has he convinced you or told you that it was a quorum and not 2?
Well, my thought is that it's 2. But I know there were 2 sides to the argument last week. Chairman Moore and Commissioner Lambert made a very appealing case that it's more than 2. I thought the gentleman who was with you from
the
Open Meetings group made a compelling case that it is just 2. when it's two people, I think it's very easy sometimes to say, what would you like to see happen in your district? Would you like to think a new school is important? Do we need to improve this road? What are the priorities? But there's probably a difference between that and openly debating process, and we need to be very public when we debate process and be very cognizant of it. And I think this will go a long way toward improving what we do in the future.
Mayor Ragsdale, have you had any kind of meeting to try to come to or smoke a peace pipe, so to speak, with Scott Moore? And there's even some speculation that maybe he said he would lay off the Tyler Harbor investigation if you would kind of back off a little bit. Did any of that happen?
No, and here's the thing with Tyler Harbor, I don't know that you can investigate anything any more than that particular case has been, so if people want to talk about it, go ahead. We're completely open. We have had talks, but our talks have centered around how do we make our schools better? What do we need to continue to do to help our Chamber of Commerce create jobs? How are things operating in our senior centers and our veterans nursing home? Those are the kind of conversations we've had, and those are the type of conversations I want to keep having.
And we need to take a quick break, so stay with us. We will have more with Knox County Mayor Mike Ragsdale right after this break. Welcome back to Inside Tennessee on this Sunday morning. Our guest, Knox County Mayor Mike Ragsdale, talking about the different conflicts that have popped up in the last couple of months.
Mayor, how have you had any conversations with Sheriff Jones, and if so, how are your relationship with the sheriff?
Outstanding. I've known Sheriff Jones when he was working with the Knoxville Police Department, and earlier than that with the County Sheriff's Department. We've always had a very good relationship. It seems like we're talking 4 or 5 times every week about substantive issues. And I think he's off to a great start. I hope people in Knox County will give him an opportunity, and I think he'll perform very, very well. So J.J. Jones is doing a good job, and I think that's something we can expect to continue.
Wouldn't surprise me at all. And I agree with you, and I just hope that we let him be the sheriff in the sense of whatever else other people are doing. You know, the citizens are concerned about crime and fighting crime and safety in the neighborhoods, and I'm glad to see there hasn't been any drop-off with that since the change in administration.
I don't think so, and I think he's focusing very hard on making our neighborhoods safe, solving major crimes that we've had in the community. He's focused, he's driven, he's a good communicator, and I've enjoyed working with him very much so far.
Yeah, let's talk about the ethics panel and how, I guess, it played out. Initially, you appointed or had recommendations, and in the end, if I remember correctly, you'd appoint or did name 4, County Commission 4, and there was an agreement on 1. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, what are your thoughts on that, how that
I think it was a good compromise. Originally, in January, the County Commission approved a format that I would appoint 5 members to the body and they would confirm it. I made my 5 nominees at that point in time. Chairman Moore came to me and said, can we reach a compromise, expand the group, include more citizens? I felt like that was a very fair compromise. I made 4 nominations, which the County Commission unanimously approved. The chairman made 4 nominations. They were approved as well, and we concurrently agreed on 1 county-wide office holder, that being Martha Phillips, and I think everyone has a great deal of confidence in Ms. Phillips and her abilities, so it was good appointments.
Of course, now we're hearing Tommy Shumpert's name was one of the recommended, and of course now he's saying he will not be able to take that post.
That was one of Scott Moore's appointments. I think Tommy is an outstanding person. Of course, he was my predecessor. I have a huge amount of respect for him, but I think that Chairman will recommend someone who's on Tommy's caliber, and I think that will be done very quickly.
Talk about the DEP. I know it's a concern you've had for a couple of years and been talking to the governor and various other folks that might have some influence there. And so he and Senator Woodson have met concerning the whole DEP formula, but specifically talk about Knox County, and are you making progress there?